Welcome back to the Smite Minor League. We're going to the North American half of things now. Finch here, joined by Taco, and I'm happy to have you here with me, Taco, as we move into it. This should be a pretty good set to get things started off. Things are a bit clumped up here in North America, up at the top. It's very much separated, but I would say that Sanguine and Cryptik, the set that we're going to have here first, this should be a very close one.
Definitely not as clear-cut as you would initially believe, at least, looking at the standings. But Armada, one thing's for sure, they have certainly established themselves as the clear leader over in North America. But that's not to say that Cryptik or Sanguine couldn't play catch-up.
I certainly think that both these teams have the capacity to do so. Cryptik is full of some career Smite players who've been, around at minor league level or so for quite a while now. Sanguine, of course, formerly from LatAm North, I believe. That's a team that was formerly YSO Serial that has plenty of experience as well. So no surprise at all that these two teams would be this close and that they would both be looking this good.
And Sanguine, for me at least, Finch, has definitely started having this kind of surgence to, I don't want to say life, because this has definitely been a team that I think has looked good since their initial debut in the Smite Minor League, but I just feel like they're definitely finding their rhythm, and the level of synergy that Sanguine already had pre-established just from being around and being a team for a long time, they kind of bear a lot of similarities to Flashpoint over in Europe, just without the same sort of results to say.
Sure, but I get what you're saying, man. This is a team that can make some big plays. I'm glad we're seeing some Shinto, because I think very often for Sanguine, it's between Panatom and Shinto in particular, and how well those two are gelling that day. Because when those two, and then when their synergy's on, when they're able to get a little bit ahead of their opposition, then they really can carry a game. That's where I'm looking at for the Sanguine roster, to get those two going right away.
And I'm really glad you brought them up as a pairing, because for me, it's not necessarily that all of Sanguine is going to individually outperform any of these other teams, so to say, as much as it is that as a group, as a five-man unit, Sanguine tends to outperform teams just because of that synergy that we were just talking about.
That's right. They've been working together a long time, and they're going to need that synergy going up against Team Cryptik, who's on the other side, a team made up of tons of individual talent. Cope, of course, in the jungle for this team. I believe he played with them last week as well, but now a full-fledged member of the squad. That used to be Yuji, I believe, that was in that slot for them, but now Cope is full in here for him. And again, these are going to be names that you're super familiar with, right? Zero, Cope, Sops, Mineral, Benny Q, that have just been around and around for a while.
Mostly guys that have hung around the upper threshold of the rank scene, a little bit of
Yep.
Challenger Cup whenever that was applicable, and now in the Smite Minor League. I think that this is probably the perfect zone for a lot of these players to start really establishing themselves and kind of solidifying their names into the Smite talent pool.
I think so too. These are, and they're 3-2 right now, so they're certainly looking good and in a good spot. The question just becomes for me, though, is it going to be a ton of them trying to be the better individual players over the Sanguine roster, or are they going to be able to have that same kind of teamwork that they need? Like you said, these guys are ranked all-stars. These guys are guys that have been around the Challenger level for a long time, the SML too. Can they bring that all together as one cohesive unit? Feels like the kind of question that Sanguine's going to be asking.
I think what I want to see if I'm Cryptik with Cope Baby and Sops is probably a little bit more of that individual style of play where they kind of look for the picks. Don't allow Sanguine to have the pleasure of the five-man groupings, to have the team fights where they can kind of cherry pick their engagements, force them into those uncomfortable situations where they have to make a decision between fighting or, disengaging. And if you disengage, you might forfeit a lot of pressure, not just objective-wise, to Cryptik.
Well, let's go ahead and move into those picks and bans for game number one. Should be Sanguine in that first pick selection spot, which means that all the pressure really is on Cryptik, as you've seen so far. We saw Freya come through a couple times, but she definitely doesn't seem like the end-all, be-all of your drafts. You don't necessarily have to have her, though I still think she's plenty strong. Shibalanke is one that I think has been a pretty good indicator, so I wonder where he'll get value.
Shibalanke, I'm also expecting to be a first pick type of priority here for both of these teams. I know that Cryptik has kind of been forced a little bit into this King Arthur ban. They're certainly not trying to allow any of that nonsense and sustain to fall into the hands of Sanguine Soul Laner, but I like the Fenrir response, a rather interesting
I'm
response
surprised.
too. But Sanguine are in that first pick position, so you kind of want. It's not necessarily a throwaway ban, but they get to take away a decent bit of pressure from Cryptik, and not only that, but if you're in the first pick position, Freya's on the table, so Xbalanque. It's really open-ended right now for Sanguine.
I'm just surprised because I know Wrong You likes to play it. So the surprised that they'd ban that away, but you're right. This guy can be very strong. And hey, they've got an aggressive support for Wrong You anyway, in the form of this Naja, very likely. It is, of course, some flex potential that could always move to the jungle for Panatom, but I think likely we'll be seeing the support. But that does mean now that Xbalanque or Freya are up for Cryptik. Maybe this is Sanguine saying that they won't take both and that they'll be able to grab whichever one's left over on the back end.
A pretty vague response, though, from Cryptik, because
Wow.
going for the Ardio as an immediate reply pick for the Naja, I think introduces the idea that Cryptik might be looking for a hyper-aggressive dual lane, perhaps throwing Mineral onto this Ardio, and then you can get Benny Q an ideal pressure pick like the Uller, perhaps. And if that's the case, this Naja could just be prevented, I think, from all of the early game pressure.
Well, the World Serpent looms over the draft now, Taco, as he's been selected here, the third pick by Sanguine, or at least their third pick, to pair along with the Xbalanque, and they've got to be feeling good now. And it's curious. You're picking a Muzen Cobb, quite immobile into this Jormungandr. He's going to slow you down. He's going to land on top of you with those knockups. That's a bold pick.
Kill or be killed. That's
suppose,
the way
yeah.
I'm looking at it. I mean, bees don't tend to die right away after throwing out the stinger, and if AMC can figure out some decent positioning, I think that there's certainly ways for Cryptik to kind of look for a follow-up collapse off of the Susano. I think as long as Cryptik are able to get the Amus and Cobb damage out there initially, that's pretty much all they're really looking for, because Susano does have pretty clean follow-up. I'm curious to see, though, if this is going to be a double hunter type composition, because this
Freya
is
Fafnir looked
very
good.
flexible.
I think so. If that's the route that Cryptik want to go, the Fafnir's still out there, Freya too, that could be a great way to round out this draft for them, and maybe even have Ardio over there in solo lane with the Susano for much control. That's certainly possible. I like the idea. So now that comes into Sanguine to try and decide what kind of draft is that Cryptik's going to go with, as it looks like they're banning out the Agni and the Soul, another one of those auto attack mages.
Vulcan's still on the table, though, for Shinto.
That's a good
He's
pick.
also been rocking a lot of that Giannis as of late, and I think that this is a really smart selection from Cryptik. Right as I finished saying the Giannis, Sop's going to end up taking it for himself. And again, I probably should correct myself from trying to guarantee these picks going anywhere, because I do feel as though Cryptik is a team that can kind of stray a little bit more towards this side of unconventional, and if that's to be the case, well, I could see them making it work.
Well, this is interesting. Sanguine now take the Pele for themselves and the Zhang Kui to go in the middle lane. So they've got plenty of relevance at multiple stages throughout the game, which I think is nice. The Pele and the Naja are plenty of presence to get you started early. Zhang Kui in the mid game very strong, and a Xbalanque paired with that Yorm to round out your late game feels pretty good to me. Whereas Cryptik, I don't know, how are they going to be looking to brawl early with this draft? Maybe not with a Rat they can be, but hold on. Where's Susano going then?
I think,
Or where Rat? I guess Rat's solo?
I think it could be Susano solo or Ratatoskr jungle.
Maybe Rat.
What's interesting about Cryptik is that Cope Baby actually shares a pretty similar god pool, I think, to Zero. So those two, it's really up to their own discretion. But I think that I would prefer to see the Ratatoskr against the Zhang Kui and the Susano in the solo lane, but I'm not sure that's going to be the case.
Well, we'll certainly get a chance to see. These picks certainly could go anywhere. We're about to find out, though. Sanguine going up against Team Cryptik. Let's move into game number 1.
Was goody, folks. Game number 1 here of Sanguine versus Cryptik. It's Tom and, of course, Aggro Bailey on the microphone.
That's a new one.
Is that
Yeah, no, it's usually either
Ryan Aggro Bailey?
Ryan Aggro Bailey, Ryan Bailey, or Aggro.
Aggro Bailey.
Maybe even Ryan Aggro. But
Ryan Aggro is what I have you saved to my phone as.
really,
Ryan Aggro.
I have you as F period.
That's cute. I like that. Do you have a picture?
No, I don't. You want me to take it right now?
Yeah.
This is gonna be a really good way to
I
start.
have that
this,
zoomed in picture of you as
great.
my contact image.
That's really great.
Shinto is going to be playing in the mid lane on the Zhang Kui, and then Hardcore on the big boy here in the solo lane. So this is an interesting matchup. Jormungandr versus Susano in the solo lane.
Yeah, not your usual solo lane matchup, but on one hand, it's because Jormungandr is pretty new, so
Yep.
you don't get to see him that much. But the Susano in the solo lane is also pretty interesting. Panatom trying to finish off this red buff, and it is secured, which
Nice
Shinto's
exorcism.
Exorcism gets that going. But yeah, the Susano solo is something that's kind of been a ranked staple for a while. Guys like Haddix seem to really like it. And it's usually just the, I feel like I can outplay you and make cool plays because Susano does that better than most characters sort of setup. But in this particular composition, it's extra CC and displacement and overall control in a composition that was lacking a little bit in that field. That being said, it also is that Zero probably feels like he gets a pretty free laning phase up against Jormungandr, where he's not going to get pressured too much. He can get a lot of extra farm and come in and basically be a fed jungler in these fights in the mid game.
Well, right now, Hardcore is certainly winning the HP battle. Zero, about half. Hardcore, a little bit healthier than that. Big damage coming out of the big worm, though. You should definitely expect a ton of damage coming out from this guy. We've seen a little bit of him on the PC side. Yesterday, we got a chance to see Wolves bring him out on the console side of things. And definitely a strong performance from Wolves, I think, and a nice look as to what this character has in store.
Yeah, I think that if you're playing Jormungandr, you probably need to build at least a little bit of damage.
I agree.
I think that going pure tank, he doesn't do quite enough, and going pure damage means you get one shot every single fight because you're massive and it's hard to miss you with skill shots. But it also does provide a lot of disruption. I mean, having a Jormungandr ult means that you have nowhere that you can really run, and there's no real recourse, right? I mean, you just have to juke it. There's no way to damage him, and you can't Aegis the whole duration. So it's pretty difficult to play against as a carry. In fact, I think some Jormungandr Morrigan combos might be something we'll see at some point, because it's just impossible. You get Jormalted, and then you get Jormalted.
Oh my goodness.
And what do you really do against him?
Just some real big magma worm stuff going on. Kind of rough there. We'll see how he develops throughout the course of the game so far. Interesting start. We saw support kind of harass a jungler, but nothing too intense. Mineral makes his way over here to the duo lane, and now he's going to be pretty standard as far as that's concerned. With respect to the mid lane, I don't expect any raw aggression. When right away you get a chance to see it with Zhang Kui. You can see the rush onto the Bancroft, and mid lane players will generally like level 1, go for a card, and try and play aggressively. Not the case here, already level 4, so I expect to see a more passive gameplay style in this mid lane, despite the very aggressive start that Shinto went.
The Bancroft start is pretty aggressive, but it'll stay good throughout the entire game.
Exactly.
Where you're going to eventually get low during your ultimate, and all of a sudden your ghost will start doing 1 million damage. And that's what Bancroft Zhang is really about, is understanding that you're going to be in the middle of these team fights early and often and throughout the entire game, and you're just going to have to stay and box it out. And Bancroft lets you do that better than any other item because of the lifesteal and that incredible passive that gives you more damage as you get lower in HP. I like it. It does mean that you're delaying your Spear of the Magus a little bit, which is such a key item for him. Means that you might not have room for something like a Gem of Isolation or a Shaman's Ring, which I think is really, really potent on Zhang Kui. But
agreed.
Zhang is just one of those characters that you feel like you need so many different items that in order to make him feel like he's at his max capacity.
I certainly agree with that one. And Zero not agreeing with this lane. A full level lead here, maybe more like a half for Hardcore. But this entire time, the pressure has belonged to the Great Worm. He's been able to just push Susano out of lane at this point, using teleport to get back, so no big deal. Rongyu goes in. I like that he saves the ultimate, not really going for stops just yet. Shinto not ready, so just a little bit of a let's see what's going on here.
And Sops now has no Purification Beam, so that means next Satch that Rongyu has will guarantee an ultimate, but it won't be right now because he gets a lot of poke returned by Sops and Mineral. Sops has a lot of damage already by rushing that Book of Thoth. Made it pretty clear, I think, that throughout my many casts of Giannis that I'm not a big fan of Book Giannis. If you're looking for burst damage out of the mid lane, every other mid laner does it better.
Yep.
But it is just a good starting item in general. It gives you a really nice power curve throughout the game, makes a Book of the Dead or a Soul Reaver later on that much better, and it pairs well with cooldown boots, which is what Giannis wants to go anyways. There are positives for sure. It's just it's still not my favorite.
Right now, Hardcore certainly. I'm loving this. I really want to see Hardcore maintain this lead and then make a rotation about 2 levels or so, and really bring the pain. Watching Jormungandr has been fun, and I want to see him make an impact here in game number 1. Very slow pace compared to what we've seen today. 0 kills in 6 minutes.
Both these teams a little bit more mid-game oriented, I would say, with what their picks bring. I'd expect Cope to start turning up the gas a little bit. We really haven't talked about Cope's return to this team at all. He had a great end of last year and was really, really impressive in what he brought to this team Cryptik, which was then Armada at regionals, but then ends up taking a step away, says he doesn't want to compete for a little bit. Didn't take him long to hop back in the saddle, I suppose, but the Cope is an explosive player, is one that can win your team the game. He also has the capability to lose your team the game, as most explosive players do. It's just a matter of consistency with these types of guys, but Cope is a playmaker through and through. There's no doubt about that.
I'll definitely have to agree with that. Playmaker for sure. Right now, it's going to be Mineral trying to make it happen, but here comes Cope in the sky, Sops as well. Now, once he comes down with a Naja, we're expecting to see the Ratatasker land, and there's help, though. Where's help, though? Where's help, though? It's all Mineral going down. Sanguine with a double kill so far. Beautiful play there. And Cope, just a little bit too late to the party, decides not to join in at all. Sanguine looking good.
Surprised Mineral doesn't just take the portal that Sops left for him whenever he landed on the ground. Sops just a little short on having his purification beads back up. So difficult to step up in that position, but you just have to be communicating with Mineral from that spot that, hey, I don't have beads, I can't be playing there.
Oof, Cope maybe loses half of his life bar to a well-timed exorcism, and a little bit of dot damage will help as well. Shinto tags number 3. He'll likely fall, though. Team Cryptik puts one up. 3-1. Sanguine make another play in that middle lane and just under 1,000 gold of a lead.
Yeah, that's a fine trade for Cryptik. They get on the board. Cope was already a little bit behind, so having him go off the map isn't exactly what you want because you need him on the map and getting XP and gold. But Shinto was already sitting at 2-0, so a nice little shutdown bonus for 0 makes his rotation worthwhile, and everyone gets an assist on that kill. You get 4 assists for 1 kill, and so that's just a lot of gold spread out among your team, whereas only a couple members of Sanguine got the assist on Cope Baby's kill. So that not a horrible trade for Cryptik, but Cope just needs to be wary that he's going to start falling behind in net worth if he keeps taking spills like that.
So a nice attention to how that's going to really develop there. 0, who had been kind of losing this lane, kind of gets a little bit of it back. Still trailing by half a level, but Hardcore certainly not off to the level and a half lead that he had garnered a little bit earlier. So a nice answer back from 0. Sops one more time, going to be sashed up. Rongyu has the ultimate again already.
And he beats again. Sops used those purification beads right away. It's what makes Naja so potent, man. There's so much threat. Every time she sashes, or he sashes you rather, you have to respect it. Unless you're going to really rely on your reaction capability to try and use purification beads as Windfire Wheels connects. And there is a window there.
Yes.
Don't know if Sops is, don't know if he's a West Coast player or something like that, one that doesn't have quite as many opportunities to make plays based on his ping or something like that, but would like to see him be a slightly more patient, I'd say, on those purification beads and try and use his reaction time.
That's the number one thing that you do as a Naja. You want to sash in and get the beads, and honestly, it almost never happens. And, oh, 0 right into Shinto here. The exorcism's good. Is there a dot? No, but there's a worm. Nice blink. Oh, but here's that ultimate. Big boy, worm boy. Just coming over the top, man. Knock up, knock up, knock up. Mineral finds his way on the left-hand side, but whoo, that's an ultimate.
Yeah, Yarkor in the right spot. 0, not quite as much. Proxying between Tier 2 and Phoenix as a Susano solo. Usually not going to end up well for you, even with Sops' ultimate. I'm surprised he got as close as he did to living, but that Jibalanke and Jormungandr combo is pretty nasty, man. I mean, it is fairly easy to juke the World Serpent ultimate, but with Jibalanke, you have to stop at some point, and so that guarantees it for Yarkor.
It just becomes like Cloverfield. It's a giant monster, you can't tell where. Gold Fury in trouble, but Cryptik in more trouble. Panatom with a double kill, nice and easily. Beautiful setup by Rongyu. And the team will look at Gold Fury one more time. 0 on the run. Pull is going to be negated by the geometry. Nice job there from Shinto. No mana to turn in cards, so the race is on. Rongyu here will find 2 slows. This one's gotta hurt. Oh, that one's gonna hurt more. Now under the tower, the soul of Susano figures it out, but oof.
The big boy in the mid lane can't quite get away from Zero. Just too much mobility for a character like Susano up against Zhang Kui. But a great play by Penitom there. I mean, he immediately hits the gas as Zero keeps the gas rolling on this left-hand side. Another kill for him on a rotation. But he's giving up a lot of just outright XP and gold on the right. Yarkor continues to push. He just got the tier 1 tower in the solo lane, and he's now level 13 on this Jormungandr and is now up about 700 gold above his lane opposition.
And a full level at the very least. Maybe even then some. Hardcore is honestly like had a fine game, but really just dominated the lane.
Really good damage now on the Sops too. I mean, he even missed his 1, and just the 2 by sucking up 1 pool did that much. Just goes to show exactly how much that those bellows are going to do later on in this game. This ability is sneaky damage, 360 plus 50%, but don't forget that bonus damage that he gets. So that one was 420 plus 60% on base damage and scaling, and even without a whole lot of magical power in the build, it'll do a lot for you. You'll be able to poke out the opposition pretty well.
That's what he's been doing pretty much the entire time. Now building a little bit tanky. We'll see the Breastplate of Valor come out, and that'll allow Hardcore to withstand a couple more attacks. Other builds, everything seems to be kind of normal.
Netrioid with an Aussie rush.
That's where I was gonna go. The carry
yeah,
builds.
instead of going for the Devourer's Gauntlet, a much quicker pace on your power curve, but maybe not as strong ultimately in lifesteal, and certainly not in power. Devo Gloves gives you a lot of power. Aussie only 20.
Yeah.
So he's really leaning heavily on that Gibalanque passive to make up for that lack of power. Could be going to an Ichaival next. That'll also make up for his lack of power. Whereas on the other side, Benny Q goes for a traditional Benny Q build, which means no one else does it. It's Blackthorn Hammer, Talaria boots for MP5 and movement speed, and now a Gladiator shield. And he's the ability annoyance guy with this build. His auto attacks are going to do little to nothing, but he will do a good amount of poke with his abilities alone, and he's going to be much more annoying to bring down than you would expect an AMC to be.
And I think this is enabled by Zero going the aggressive assassin in the solo lane. Your solo laner is going to bring a little bit more damage than normal, so your hunter can sort of let go of some of that damage. Theoretically, I always talk about the equation balance that is a composition. Theoretically, that's there. I'm not convinced. I don't like giving up damage from my hunter position.
I don't like no pen 4 items in.
Exactly. And I mean, that's just...
Especially when you know they're going to be stacking physical defense against a Susano and Ratatosker.
Yeah.
You're going to need that pen, and he's not going to get it until 5th now, if that's going to turn into what I imagine will be a Blood Forge.
It's got to be. I mean, you can't build a Devo's Club at this point, right?
Right. And it could go Soul Eater.
Sure.
Actually, Soul Eater would probably make the
work.
most sense. A little bit faster in gold consumption, at least. I wouldn't mind a Soul Eater here for Benny Q if he's not going to go for pen, which I would disagree with inherently, but...
Gold Fury started here by the red team.
Man, he is popping on this gold, man.
Netrioid is here. Rongu shows up as well. Netrioid can honestly just stick to the Gold Fury.
Yep.
That's big damage, but with the rat in the air, that's going to be the retreat. Ultimate from the mid lane, Giannis will miss. There's Panatom getting knocked up, but support Rongu going to take one to the sky. That'll leave Coat Baby on the ground, and underneath it, Rongu with the last hit. Big damage coming out of Shinto. Mineral surrounded, and Sanguine going to push him out. Here comes the rest of the team.
Blink Zhang Kui, man, right on top of this AMC, and he could have all the physical protection with Glad Shield in the world. It does not matter. Zero getting chased down by Panitom and Yarkor. Yarkor now forcing out Sops, and Sanguine make it look easy in that team fight.
This giant ultimate, man. I can't.
Yeah, I love it, dude.
It's so good.
It's so fun to use. It's horrifying against you. It's everything the World Serpent should be.
And the team fight is everything Sanguine wished it would be. Beautiful play there. Results in a 5,000 gold lead, 15.5 in. And so far, we've really enjoyed watching Sanguine. I'm going to speak for you. We've enjoyed watching Sanguine do this. Personally, I just like me some good Zhang Kui, but as far as the actual game is concerned, I'm seeing a lot of solid teamwork. Look at the player damage here, 5,300 to 6,200. That's the spread. Everyone is contributing, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, completely. Sanguine is a unit, a lot like Flashpoint on the EU side of things. It's a team that has good individual skill, but is winning because of how well they play as a team, and that's a much harder thing to learn than how to be better at Smite. A lot of the time, it's much harder to learn that synergy and how to play as a unit, more so than how to hit more buttons. And these guys hit plenty of buttons, as evidenced on the Benny Q right now.
Benny Q, relatively tanky. Still in trouble. Well, there's the ultimate. Not sure I'm going to get hit by it. Doesn't really care.
No, it's because he doesn't need to. There's no damage in the build.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. It will be the Soul Eater coming out from Benny Q. No penetration means a lack of damage. He doesn't really peel well, so I'm concerned about Benny Q in the future and seeing where this AMC pick will go. Rats in the sky again. A little bit far. There's the Shibalanke ultimate. And Cope's going to look to engage.
Yarkor is out of danger, though. Cope has done, in his return, nothing so far. 1,300 player damage.
Nothing. Like
I get it.
Like the acorn?
Oh, I thought it's because he really likes peanuts.
No, I think he's allergic, actually. Hardcore uses the ultimate.
No, he was a baseball guy. There's no way he's allergic to peanuts.
Sunflower seeds. Hardcore right here.
Yeah, you eat peanuts, too.
Maybe. There's going to be the pull-in from Wrong Yu. What do you know about baseball? Hardcore certainly looking strong.
Quite a bit.
I don't know about that.
Level 17 Jormungandr, it's hard to look bad in these fights. He picked up a Sunder, which is interesting. It's an initiation tool where he pops up and is able to guarantee the Sunder off of the knockup from his third ability. So maybe that could be the idea, but they're so far ahead at this point, I don't know that they need that ability to chew through a level 11 Artie. I mean, he's 6 levels up. This is more insurance for if this game goes a little bit later, and the fact that they don't really need another relic in particular. You don't need a horrific emblem. There's no auto attackers on the other side that you're really worried about. You don't need another sprint. There's not a ton of slows. You don't really need another shell. I'm fine with a Sunder in this spot for Yarkor. It gives him the ability to solo a squishy as well if he knows they don't have relics or an escape. He can one-shot Benny Q with an upgraded Sunder from this point.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at as well. You're going to have a tanky AMC, or a somewhat tanky AMC, a somewhat tanky Susano. Ratatasker right now building into this Void Shield. There's a lot of beef on the side of Cryptik. There's very tanky characters. And so with that in mind, I mean, Sanguine looking to cut him down a little bit. I really like the Sunder.
And they're worried about the physical damage as well for Shinto in the mid lane because he's actually picked up a Breastplate of Valor to try and keep himself up in the face of all these physical damage dealers on the side of Cryptik. And he's going to be really relying on getting lower in these team fights to boost up that power via the Bancroft's talent. I don't mind it. He's just gonna need some serious power next.
Yeah, and so you see us a lot coming out from mages as Panatom thinks about blinking over the wall. Will do so. Aegis negates the knockup damage, and honestly, Benny Q not taking any damage realistically. Cope looking to extend the team fight. Metroid in some trouble. Nice job. And Cope with the last hit. With the last hit. With the last hit. With the last hit. He can't find it at all. And Cope goes down to the last hit while everyone on Sanguine gets away.
Panatom, man, comes in clutch with that volcanic lightning. Comes in at 1,000,000 miles an hour to save his hunter. Well done. And that's that teamwork aspect that we've really been highlighting.
Oh, Panatom just barely getting clipped by the tornado right there. A nice play from Zero for sure. The rest of Sanguine, though, trying to respond as Team Cryptik are just barking down their towers. Wrong Yu takes one to the sky. Zero does actually find a basic attack and will fall to the wayside. 12-5 so far. Hardcore certainly looking good and will body block for his Shibalanke.
Just by existing, because he's so giant that he doesn't have a choice but to body block. Shinzo never comes to that team fight, instead trying to get this tier 2 in the mid lane, which he will not be able to secure. Cope respawns just in time and is able to get there. Ronnie had the option there to get out and ult defensively, but Zero being level 18, he's been doing way more than anybody else on Team Cryptik so far. He has all 5 of their kills. Sacrifices his own life to get the kill on the enemy solo laner. Good call.
Like that so far. 20 minutes in here. 12 kills to 5. Sanguine right now with a 6,000 gold lead, give or take, and looking to extend that by allowing their hunter to solo the Gold Fury. Very interesting. This used to only really be possible by way of Devo gloves. But now the Aussie Ikeval Executioner start. This has been, well, I guess not a start anymore. You're 4 out of 10. But Aussie Executioner and the Ikeval allow Metroid to go ahead and solo a Gold Fury.
With relative ease as well. I mentioned that Aussie's really, really good, but it's a little bit lacking in power as an early option. Ikeval covers that. It gives you a ton of power. So I really like the way that this build's coming together.
Cryptik is going to start the Pyromancer. Sanguine's going to end the Pyromancer. Now surging forward is Mineral alongside Zero, and Cope's going to take to the sky. Hardcore surrounded by the enemy jersey, and he doesn't seem to mind. Under the ground, the big worm will go, and he'll pop up and down, and one more time, Mineral will pop up and pop down.
Hardcore very low still, though, right in the midst of the team fight. He goes down. The Zero picks up 2. He took out Shinto at the same time.
And there's a double kill for Netroid, though. So a 2 for 3. Everything in Sanguine's favor. We're not done yet, though. Yeah, we are. I really thought we were going to continue
Maybe
that team
not.
fight.
Zero should have Wind Siphon up soon. Lots of CDR in the build.
Oh, but
Pulls
here
in
comes
Ronnie,
Hell.
but has a sash. Sops does get the kill with that Unstable Vortex, but Panatom no ultimate, no blink. Means that he can't close the gap, so good chase. Zero has 7 of Cryptik's 8 kills. Is top of the player damage charts, way above his next closest teammate. This Susano solo has been the only thing keeping Cryptik afloat so far in this game.
13 kills so far. Excuse me, 7 kills so far. 7, 3, and 1 for the solo Susano. And I think a lot of that has to do with, you know, how he's been able to really rotate the map. 100% kill participation for the European player.
Yeah.
And yes, I did not misspeak. If you haven't been following Cryptik, it's very interesting. Zero is a European player playing in European ping on this North American squad.
Hasn't seemed to hurt him too much so far.
Nope.
It's he's played pretty well, at least in this game for sure. He's been, again, the leader for Cryptik without a doubt. The rest of the team needs to start picking up the pace a little bit to match that of Zero.
Fire Giant going to be picked up here, 40% and counting. Team Cryptik trickling in. Zero here throws the ultimate out to find some knockups, and the ultimate retreat will be good. Hardcore into the ultimate right away, as will go Rongyu. Fire Giant leashed completely. Zero now trying to find some damage. Good knockout. The follow-up, trouble for Netroid. Followed up, and Cope Baby takes down the carry.
Mineral in the midst of the team fight, but he's still okay. In fact, he's going forward. Zero gets another Cope, notches himself a double kill, and now it's just Yarkor and Shinto left to try and run. And I think it's only going to be one of them pretty soon. Yarkor rooted. No damage there quite yet until Cope blinks over and finds his 3rd in a row.
Yeah, that's going to be problematic as Shinto falls down to the wayside as well. Zero barely alive, but nobody on Sanguine alive at all. Sanguine still have a kill lead. Excuse me, a gold lead and an experience lead. But that is short-lived. The experience lead goes in Cryptik's favor. The Fire Giant will go to them. This Tier 2 tower will likely go to them. And that should shift every lead, including the gold lead, if I'm not mistaken. Should be about a tie game after this objective goes down if they can do it. But Benny Q.
Oh
my god.
I think he's,
oh my god. Benny Q.
He's
Benny
alive.
Q.
He's good. He's
Benny
got
Q.
it. It's
Benny
easy
Q.
for him.
Benny Q.
Easy.
Benny Q. Benny Q. Double kill for the Fire Giant. Woo!
It's going to be MIA for a while, Bubbas. He's out there doing his best, man. Yeah.
That was...
So Fire Giant got harder in Season 6, but it still does the same things every time. So you can know
The raid leader in me is raging right now, Ryan.
what it's going to do and then not get hit by it.
That needed to be and was Cryptik's invitation back into this
They
game.
might lose the game.
They're going to be in a very bad spot. Cope Baby takes care of the hunter nicely. Now Rongyu in some trouble, but here's help. Now Zero going to do the damage as well. Big Boy comes out, and Zero going to be knocked up, 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 knocked down. Jesus, playing against that worm has got to be annoying. But Sops does a little bit more than annoy and takes down Hardcore finally. Panatom on the run, blinks away, and honestly, even with the Pele boots, not going to happen. 5 kills without a death here for Cope Baby. He went 0-4, and then now has been on a tear.
Yes, yeah, much better. Not in the player damage charts, but you don't expect Rat to shoot up those in the late game. It's really the early game where he's going to make up a lot of that ground. But certainly doing his job when it comes to assassinating the enemy backline.
Yeah.
Fulfilling his role for sure. Definitely a good defense by Cryptik. Typhoon continues to be a huge nightmare for Sanguine. And Netrioid walking up that far without his relics. Don't really know where he's supposed to stand if he wants to hit the Phoenix, though. To be fair, it's pretty difficult.
Shinto in trouble, and Cope Baby looking to contribute. There's the jump down, and the Goomba stomp onto the mid lane. Zhonghui, Netrioid, Aegis all the way to the fountain. Mineral taking some fountain poke, and gonna die to Netrioid. Where's the dash? He won't die. The sash is good. And a couple of basics will confirm, but nice work coming out from Cryptik to save their support after he dips his toe in the enemy jacuzzi.
I think it was more than the toe. I mean, he went knee deep. he took a lot of damage from that fountain. Just pretty sloppy on both ends.
Both sides, yeah.
Yeah, both sides have definitely had their mistakes. I mean, Sanguine was in a really commanding position this game, and then really boot a Fire Giant fight towards Sanguine, or towards Cryptik rather, by Yarkor's build this game. I said you want a little bit of damage. I'm good with Gem of Isolation.
Yeah.
That's all I really needed. I don't really need the Spear of Desolation. Yarkor just can't afford to be in the front line and taking a lot of damage with this sort of build. And this Zhonghui pick hasn't been too impressive to me so far. Shinto just lacking on damage in this build. The Breastplate of Valor, he's not blinking aggressively. He needs to be on Benny Q every single fight. He needs to blink on the AMC and let Yarkor go with him, and those two should be enough. You're kind of swapping almost what Panatom and Shinto are usually doing. Blink
Sure.
Zhonghui fills the role of the assassin now. He wants to get on top of the enemy hunter that doesn't have an escape, though watch out, Benny Q has the Ansile, so good luck killing him from this position. I'm being facetious, of course. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter with how much pen Shinto has. You get to jump on top of him, ult, and then start killing him really, really quickly. Panatom just hasn't been able to bring the damage quite yet in this game either. He's below even Ronague in this game, and not that much further above Mineral.
Still with a ton of kills though, 7-3 and 6. You know, it's interesting. I think that Cope has really contributed despite low player damage, and I feel the opposite with Panatom. Nice slash line, but I really don't think that the Pele
He had a really good fight by Gold Fury. He got that double by Gold Fury, playing very aggressively, and that was really good for Sanguine. But I agree, that's really the only play he's made since then. Oh, he did save Netrioid, that one fight in duo.
Sure.
Those have been the highlight moments for Panatom, whereas Cope really didn't contribute at all in the early game. Didn't even come close to contributing really, and.
But in the late game, he's and it's interesting watching the difference between a high level play and casual play. He's kill stealing, but he's kill confirming. All these players are kind of straggling out and running away, and he's using the ultimate to go and pick them off, kind of Rom style, like we saw Chekio do earlier in the day. And that's just as important, especially when you're sending players to the bench for 50 seconds.
Absolutely, Cope has definitely done the job later on in this game. So if you're rooting for Cryptik, you're hoping that he can keep that going. Is now
Cope's
the
the
Enhanced
hope.
Fire Giant, and now it still does the same things, Tom, the Enhanced Fire Giant, but it does them harder.
Uh-oh.
And they have no objective range.
They really don't.
Like, the Fire Giant spits at Benny Q. It doesn't care.
Cope's in the air one more time.
Nice
Wrongview gets poked, punched,
Split up.
and in trouble. The ultimate out of the Giannis is on the mark. Now Zero all the way deep, chasing, and getting Netrioid. Wrongview gonna fall as well if somebody can catch up. Nice sash, and that'll bring Zero directly to him. Here comes the big worm boy, and Wrongview in trouble. Not able to be saved there by Hardcore.
Yarkor probably not going to be able to get out of this one either, just so low. But here comes Shinto, going to be able to put out a lot of damage from this position. Panatom there as well with a great knockup. They take down a couple.
Shinto!
And it's most of the carries. Panatom and Shinto still standing, but only Sops and Mineral left, and they won't be able to take down that Fire Giant with just the two of them.
Man, you gotta love Zhang-Kui.
Okay, so Tom, this is I'm gonna dip into your world a little bit with this next analogy, okay?
Oh no.
The Giannis ultimate comes down and makes a lot of portals and hits two of you, right? Imagine that those portals are the road, okay?
Okay.
You're running from the cops. They have a car. You're not gonna run next to the road, are you? You're gonna go somewhere else where the car can't follow you.
Yeah.
Don't run down the length of the portals to your right, Phoenix.
I'm with you. Jump the fence and run along the
Thank
train
you.
tracks.
Go towards the mid lane where they can't follow you.
Exactly. The car can't go on the train.
That's not allowed, man. They can't do it. It's against the rules.
It also gets stuck.
That's what I meant. The rules of being able to move.
I was worried when you came over.
I'm glad that me making a criminal reference was actually in the positive end of what I could have said from that position.
I also didn't expect to like be so into it.
It's a good analogy.
It's a great analogy, and I really tried to avoid it. But at the end of the day, Ryan, sometimes you get it right.
You don't run alongside the Giannis ports.
You don't.
You'll never win the race.
Yeah, it's you got to get creative. Tortoise in the hair, right? So, not going to be the case this time around. Shinto in trouble, and that's what you want to do to the Zhang-Kui. Honestly, that could be the game just like that. 5-4 people surrounding Hardcore. He'll just, leave.
It's so good.
Just every time the Inception noise.
That's right. That's right. All right, let's see how they do this time, Tom.
All right. First phase is down. Now here comes the AoE ring. We need healers to back off. Everybody group up for the piles of puddle, but watch out for the knockup coming next. This is oh my goodness. Melee, why are you grouping? You can't group like that, Melee.
They did better. They did
Yeah,
better.
but the logs are going to look terrible.
Yeah, it's fine. They got it. They killed it.
Nobody in this raid group is going to have a purple name. I'll tell you that right now.
I understand that reference for sure and agree with you.
The logs, man. We are going to speak to after tonight's raid, Team Cryptik. Nobody's joining Method on this squad. Right side Phoenix under attack by Team Cryptik. Very slightly in the lead. That Fire Giant will certainly change things. Coat Baby looking for the flank on the top side. And Hardcore is in trouble as well. Lights go off because of Netrioid and trouble for Panatom, but Coat Baby on the back line runs directly into a big worm, and Team Cryptik being shoved out. Coat Baby falls down. Ding number 20 for Sanguine.
Now it's Yarkor trying to chase down Sops, but instead we'll turn his attention back towards the rest of the team. Knock up 0 right on time. Panatom follows up with an eruption of her own, and now it's Mineral left to the Wolves. No way this bear gets away from that. Shinto did his job perfectly that fight. Jumped on top of Benny Q and just forced him out of the fight instantly. A 3-for-0. Sanguine invests almost all their ultimates and come away with getting 3 kills, and Cryptik get nada.
Benny Q has bought a Chinsai.
That's really good with all the pen he has. He doesn't have that much pen.
Wrong you, support Naja. Working for Sanguine, trying to split this one on the other side. Flip this one on the other side, excuse me. Team Cryptik just had the aggression, and now Sanguine seeping into the base. Coat Baby's going to be up right about now and does have the ultimate available, but here comes the damage. The Titan already under attack, 25-10, 5, and Sanguine just like that take the game.
That team fight on the right side, Phoenix, man, when you get even the 30-plus minute marks, you get the enhanced Fire Giant, but if you lose that many members and don't get to take out anybody else, then you're susceptible to lose. And because Sanguine had so much map pressure early on in the game, they were able to get a lot of those towers out of the way, make that Titan a little bit less tanky, and open the door to a victory. Well done to them. They hold on despite a couple bad team fights going the other way.
We're being a little bit glib, so let me kind of come out and get in front of this real quick. So the big problem that we had with the AMC build was that it was flat out bad, but let's go a step deeper real quick. And the thing is, as a carry, I always talk about sort of balancing what you're supposed to do on the team. If you want to put like a mage in that hunter role, make sure you have some sort of tower damage, some dedicated extended DPS. That's what a hunter does. Just hold left click. You don't need to wait for cooldowns. You don't need to wait for nothing.
Nope.
Watching the AMC shift over to an ability-based build is one thing, but a tanky ability-based build essentially removes you from the equation. Not only are you not doing your job, but nobody else is.
Look, BenQ had a lot of player damage numbers, and they meant nearly nothing.
Yeah.
It was inconsequential bees damage throughout the majority of the game. It just didn't work.
Really rough stuff.
Yeah, it just didn't.
Maybe a point for creativity, but leave it at the drawing board. I'll take that point away, actually. Game number 2, hopefully to see some changes on the side of Team Cryptik. Let's bounce it back to the desk.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Aggro, after a tough loss there for Cryptik, but a nice win coming out in favor of Sanguine. And Taco, Cryptik tried a lot of different stuff in this game, right? Zero has the Susano in the solo lane. They've got the Amuzin Ka, but he's building almost like a tank, like a solo laner in there. You know, he's got like Glad Shield and Blackthorn and all that stuff. Talk to me about how you think this match went for them and where they might have went wrong.
I think there might have been too many different moving pieces on the side of Cryptik, and so Sanguine, all they really had to do throughout the match was kind of just bide their time. Most of the time, it wasn't even Sanguine really initiating engagements or really looking to catch Cryptik off guard. They were just punishing Cryptik for a lot of their mistakes.
And I really do think that Sanguine did a great job throughout this early game. You can see him off to a 4-1 start, especially playing around this Pele, around the Naja, Rongyu, and Panatom both really do want to fight early on. You can even see here with a double kill coming out from Panatom. So they did a great job, I think, of that early game. The mid game, though, pulled it back in Cryptik's favor. Zero started rotating a lot more. He and Cope had a lot of damage. But then this last fight, I think we're looking at here now where exactly Yarkor is able to get way into the back and just harass Cope, force out BenQ, and that's what really turns this fight around for me.
And I think that might have been part of the problem with Cryptik's composition, right? Because you have this Giannis, you've got all these assassins, but it didn't really feel like Cryptik could get all of their damage out at once. A lot of the times it felt like it was coming in pieces, but those pieces were just so spread out that it never really felt like there was a solidified target focus. It felt a lot more like Cryptik kind of just relying on Sops finding the bank shot with the through space in time, which did happen on a couple of occasions. There's some really nice ultimates coming out of the mid laner from Cryptik, but ultimately I think Sanguine just broke down the team fights better by causing that separation from Cryptik. And when Zero and Cope Baby are kind of being forced into this initiator position because Mineral has to play Peel, man, for Sops and BenQ, it makes it a lot easier for Rongyu, Shinto, Panitem to kind of just whittle away at that front line.
Yeah, and don't forget, Taco, they had that Fire Giant tanking scenario where 2 people died to the Fire Giant. The Fire Giant got the double kill, as you heard Tom excitedly claim. And I don't know if it was excitement, so much disappointment. But that hurts the team, too, and I'm serious, and it's very serious. Right? I mean, that was a chance they could have gotten 4 members away with the FG. Instead, only 2 members actually got the buff and 2 were dead. That opens up a bit of a window for Sanguine to get back in after that mid-game spike that Cryptik found. So a couple of self-inflicted wounds, I think, amongst the ones they got from Sanguine.
I like the thought process, though. It was definitely a really proactive reach from Cryptik to try and look for that Fire Giant, but it would have been a massive turnaround point. I can completely understand why the team would look to make that call, because Sanguine honestly had no idea until Cryptik's own members started dying, but unfortunately, like we've already discussed, it just did not end up being that saving grace they were looking for.